Update. Am I the a-hole for not helping my daughter? Original post. My daughter, a 22 female, went no contact with me 2 years ago. Before this happened, I was warning her about this guy she was dating who was full of red flags. He bombed her and isolated her from her family and friends. She dropped out of college despite my pleas to reconsider. She decided to move in with him, and since then, I never heard from her directly, but she would often ask my family members to ask me for money. The last thing I heard about her is that she has a 1-year-old child and her life is basically falling apart. The love of her life turned out to be a monster, and she is working 2 jobs to keep her family afloat. The friends she abandoned are now done with college and starting new careers in corporate, while she works at a dollar store and does Uber. A family member showed me a screenshot of my daughter's Facebook post, basically calling me an a-hole for not stepping up and helping her. She also ranted about me not supporting her to finish college, unlike her friends' parents. I don't have much extra money and I am saving for retirement. She dropped out when I begged her not to. Plus, she also blocked my number. She knows where I live but has never attempted to drop by. Am I the a-hole for not reaching out and offering help? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Well, she got what she wanted. She lives with her beloved and she's the one who broke off the contact. She didn't give a damn about you. She pays for stupidity. Not the a-hole. Yeah, she did not give a damn about me. She only lives 10 minutes away, but never ever drops by to say hi, yet expects me to touch my life savings to help her out. I am thinking I could run out of money helping her, and when I need help, she won't be there at all. Your daughter hasn't learned a damn thing and isn't worth your money. The fact that she didn't try to talk to you and admit her screw-ups, but instead lied about you on Facebook to make herself look like an innocent victim is proof of that. Not the a-hole. This is why I am so conflicted whether to help her or not. I feel like I should help, but it won't do her any good at all. She would probably expect me to help all the time till my savings run out. Your daughter is a narcissist and is trying to manipulate others into helping her because her parent is an a-hole for not stepping up and helping her, while she never even attempted to make contact. Not the a-hole. It's sad, but it happens far too often. It's also sad that nowadays it is so easy for people to go no contact, but still expects you to reach out and help no matter what. Now for the update. Thanks everyone for your input. I sent a message to my daughter via a family member on Facebook and my son, and they both came to my house last night for dinner. I told them it was an open forum where we could air our grievances against each other, and from there, we would sort it out. Daughter hates me for not trying hard enough to reach out to her when she moved in with her boyfriend. She also hates that I never tried to accept her boyfriend. My reason is that she decided to drop out and be an adult. I felt disrespected by the hurtful things she said, and by blocking me, I got the message she did not want me around. I can never accept her boyfriend. He cheated on her many times and does not work. I am disgusted. Son hates me for not giving him the extra money I had saved for the rest of my daughter's college. He also said that if I didn't want to give it to him, I could have given it to her when she got pregnant. The reason is that I paid for his college too. Since my daughter did not finish, whatever extra money I had saved for her tuition, I moved it to my retirement savings. Why would I give it to him when I already paid for his education too? He graduated with 0 student loans. Also, why would I give it to her just because she got pregnant? Being an adult means you are responsible for your decisions. Me? I am disappointed that my daughter dropped out, moved in with her boyfriend, got pregnant, and is now living a hard life. I told her I worked my butt off to give her a good life, and that she was my little princess. I never wanted her to experience hardship in life, but she chose this life, and this is her reality now. I'm disappointed at my son for cutting me off and disrespecting me when I try to reach out. All in all, we were civil, but they suggested that I get a reverse mortgage so they can get their inheritance early, and that would help them buy their own houses. I said I would think about it. Yes, the classic, let's air grievances so we can hit you with new ways to disappoint us strategy. You're not the a-hole for standing your ground, but let's not sugarcoat it. Your kids are treating you like an ATM with a guilt trip feature. Your daughter expects you to welcome her chronically unfaithful, unemployed boyfriend with open arms, while your son seems to think extra money means my money now. And the cherry on top? They want you to risk your financial security so they can buy houses. Bold move, considering their track records in adulting. You've done your part. You funded their education, or attempted to, reached out despite being blocked, and hosted them for dysfunctional dinner. If they want to play the "you're a bad parent" card, remind them that being a parent doesn't mean you're obligated to enable bad decisions or jeopardize your future. Keep that retirement fund intact. Sounds like you'll need it for peace of mind. This was a hostage meeting. They're withholding contact and affection unless OP pays them off. Having your college paid for is a freaking gift most kids would be grateful for, but the son is mad at dad because 1, he didn't get the balance of his sister's college fund, and 2, some weird convoluted grievance on his sister's behalf. It's all about the money. If they got it, they'd still be low contact with OP, not the a-hole. Oh, hell no. You paid in full for your son's college, but that's not enough for him? She ignored solid, loving advice and cut you off, and she thinks it's your fault for not reaching out to her. So you should jeopardize your future to benefit these greedy, immature, and selfish people who will absolutely not be in a position to help you should you need it as you age? It's hard for a parent to refuse to help, but you must. You have done more than enough, and they have to grow up. Her reasoning was, parents should let the kids make mistakes and then help them pick up the pieces. I said, heck no. My duty is to make sure you don't make life-altering mistakes. She said nobody's perfect, and people make mistakes and that's part of life. Ugh. Lol, screw them. They're already talking about getting inheritance from you, as in you dying? Entitled little shits. I wouldn't give them anything. Yeah, that's very entitled. Also, I am only in my early 60s. My house is paid off, but getting a reverse mortgage is risky. Don't do it at all. You have paid off that house with your hard work, only to go into debt again? Come on. Yeah, I am not going to do it. Their reasoning is that boomers had it good, since we can afford a house. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my deadbeat father's wife and daughter to leave me the heck alone? My dad walked out on me and my mom when I, 19 male, was a baby. He didn't pay child support, never saw me, didn't show up at court at any point, and never reached out to me. I always had questions about him, but my mom was always way too nice about it until I turned 18 and she laid it all out for me. She even showed me the file she had for court that showed all the times he didn't show up, how much money he owed, and the fact she chased after child support for years, but he always found a way to avoid paying. For 6 years, she tried to chase him through court until she gave up the fight and let the debt compile because it was costing her money and was taking from her ability to support us. He was the truest definition of a deadbeat. I have nothing good to say and no interest in establishing a relationship of any kind. In September, I got a friend request from this woman on Facebook. We had no friends in common, so I ignored it. Then I rejected it. She sent it again, so I accepted because I found it weird. A day later, a request came from a girl and I rejected that. But just like the other account, she sent it again. I saw they were friends, so I left it ignored. Then a DM came from the account I had accepted a request from. Turns out, this was my deadbeat father's wife and oldest daughter. They wanted to find me because they felt I should know my family and that I was now old enough to decide for myself. I told them I wasn't interested and to please leave me alone. I unfriended the wife and blocked both accounts and went private. But my Facebook is linked to my Instagram, and the daughter tried to reach me there. She said I didn't know the truth and deserved it, and how she and her siblings always wanted to know their older brother, and how her whole family was hoping we could all come together as a family. I blocked her there and ignored it. The daughter found another account of mine on another platform and has pestered me there ever since. It's constant new accounts, and I have reported some. I tried replying once more, saying I'm sorry she got her hopes up, but I'm not interested. The next day, I had messages from both the mother and daughter, saying my mom was the reason I didn't know my deadbeat father, and how she was abusive and awful and he had to leave. He hated walking away, but claimed she was dangerous and awful to be around, and I deserved to know the kind of thing I was raised by. And yeah, his daughter called my mom a thing. I responded that they were making a lot of accusations and defending him so much, but he left me with a supposedly abusive mother and made no attempt to save me from it in 19 years. And that tells me all I need to know about that man. I said once again they needed to leave me alone, and I wasn't going to have a relationship with any of them. I thought they were finally going to leave me alone. But then before Christmas, I got a long message from the two of them that basically gave me the sob story of a man who loved me, but feared my life would be worse if he stayed, and I'd be abused worse, and how he hoped my mom would abuse me less if he wasn't around. I didn't even address the rest. I told them to leave me the heck alone before I go to the police for harassment. I told them I would if they pushed it. The wife flipped out on me and said how dare I speak to them in such an abusive way, and clearly I'm a mother's son. She told me I should be ashamed of speaking to a teenager that way, who did nothing but try to love me. She is so mad that I had to turn my phone off because I kept getting notified of all these messages. I tried to stop them contacting me there, but the feature to stop them seems to be wonky on my account. I did go to the police, but I need to keep all of the messages going forward to make a case for anything. What I had wasn't enough. So yeah, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You stated your boundaries and they should respect them because at the end of the day, you get the last say, not them. You should just block them everywhere and put this behind you because they have no right to disrespect you like that. Sorry if my comment is a bit off the hinge. This post just made me a bit mad. They keep making new accounts on this platform since I can't stop non-followers from DMing me on there. The feature does nothing. Go after your deadbeat father for the accumulated child support. That might shut them up. Exactly. Just because you're of age now doesn't mean that debt goes away. Some deadbeat parents and their enablers believe the financial slate is wiped clean, and it is not. Even though my son is 34, my calculations are my son and I are still owed more than $60,000. Go get your bank, because you'll get your peace. He left because she was abusive, but never paid child support, presumably get paid under the table to avoid getting garnished, and has never actually reached out himself? Yeah, he is full of shit. Correct. Didn't even reach out when they found me online. Not the a-hole. I would look into any services that will help you go after him for the back child support. Maybe you can get his license taken away or his wages garnished since he wants to harass you through his wife and kid. Even if it's not him leading this, I have talked to my mom about trying. We both agree either he screwed himself over or his wife and their daughter did. But either way, we don't care, and he needs to pay now. Last story. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my family/parents for leaving on a trip when I was being induced to deliver my stillborn son? I was 28 weeks pregnant with my second child, my son, when he passed, and I had to schedule an induction. My parents were set to leave on a trip/cruise the day before. This trip was booked before I even became pregnant. They told me they couldn't cancel because they booked this trip with a group of relatives and would worry that these relatives would get lost without them. I acknowledged that I never spoke up to ask them to stay. I didn't want to beg anyone to be there for me. My parents were supposed to watch our daughter Seven when it was time for the birth. Since this was sudden and with my parents leaving, we were scrambling to arrange care. I was in the hospital for 3 days. My cousins came to visit and my parents called, thanked them for being there for me, and explained that they couldn't cancel their trip. It felt wrong that my parents were thanking other people for being there for me during the most traumatic time of my life. Nothing could ever make me get on a flight and leave my daughter if she was going through this. My parents were also posting pictures and videos on social media the entire length of their trip, knowing what I was going through back home. My parents came home from their trip a week before the funeral. I didn't talk to them at all. I answered one of my mom's calls and said I'd consider forgiving them if they both apologized. She said sorry and that her trip was terrible because she lost her luggage. That if she could do it over again, she wouldn't go because of her lost luggage. I told her they're bad parents, and I haven't picked up another one of her calls since. My dad hasn't tried to reach out. Some context. My parents also weren't there when my daughter was born. They went on a trip, which they booked after I was pregnant and left 2 days before my due date. I had an emergency C-section and complications with that delivery. I'm the eldest of 3, and my parents have always treated me differently, worse. My sister is the golden child. This is not to diminish the childhood trauma my siblings experienced on their own. My sister and her fiancé think I'm being harsh/an a-hole. They think that this one thing doesn't make them bad parents. My sister's fiancé says he wouldn't have canceled a trip. They don't think my parents being there for me would have made a difference. When I said this is the worst thing my parents have done to me, they disagreed. I felt invalidated by them, so I cut them off too. They can't understand why I've cut them off and say they were questioning me to understand my feelings and trying to help me get over it by sharing their perspectives. My sister said she likes hearing others' perspectives and opinions, so I guess I should too? They don't get how my anger toward my parents is part of my grief. So am I the a-hole for being mad at my parents for not canceling their trip that was booked well before I was pregnant? Am I the a-hole for cutting off my sister and her fiancé for voicing their opinions? That lost luggage comment was so incredibly cold. You are losing nothing by cutting them out of your life. These people are strangers to you. That, along with this from the sister and her fiancé. When I said this is the worst thing my parents have done to me, they disagreed. How dare they decide what OP feels is hurtful? Just out of morbid curiosity, what actions were worse than abandoning you during this time? Not the a-hole, and your sister is nuts. They think the way my parents reacted to me telling them the news I was pregnant with my daughter was worse. My parents shamed me and berated me and basically told me I'd accomplished nothing in life. I was living apart from them with my husband already, and I was 27, with my own career. I don't feel that was worse than this, but they do. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but you told them you understand that they can't cancel the trip, then got mad when they proceeded to go on the trip? You need to assert yourself. You can't say one thing and expect the other. I never told them I understood. They told me they couldn't cancel, and it was clear they weren't going to, so I didn't say anything. I was in shock at a time and just trying to survive. Asking people to be there for me was the last thing on my mind, to be honest. From what you've said so far, I don't think asking them to stay would have changed anything. They were already giving you reasons why they couldn't cancel without you asking them. The luggage comment is just the icing on the cake. Stick with people who have empathy. If you want to have your sister back, tell her the subject of your parents is literally a dead issue as far as you are concerned. I am so sorry for your loss.